Very good. So 11th verse. Vatsala mami மறந்துட்டுமே. Vatsala mami. சொல்றீங்களா?
அந்த லிரிக்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் போட்டு விடுங்க.
Sure.
I sumana 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 sumanohara kantiyute Shruta rajani 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 kara vatravrute Sunayana vibhramara bhramara 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 भ्रमराधिपते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते अयि सुमनः 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 सुमनोहर कान्तियुते रजनी 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 जजनीकरवक्त्रवृते सुनयन विभ्रमर भ्रमर 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 भ्रमराधिपते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते.
Very nice. This particular verse has a tendency for us to slip when we are chanting this. You will not know the number of times. If you lose a little bit of aware, if you're not completely aware, slightly you can lose the sense of how many number of times you're telling. And then what may happen is the word itself, for example, Sunayana Rabbrama, because it starts with Sunayana Vibhrama. So it is Vibhramara. But because of the chandas, we say Sunayana Vibhramara Brahmara. So we think it's Rabbrama Rabbrama. The way the chandas breaks is Sunayana Vibhrama Rabbrama Rabbrama. That's how it breaks. But the word is Sunayana Vibhramara Brahmara Brahmara Brahmaradhipate. So it is Brahmara Brahmara. Same thing with Niraja. It will go when we say Shrita Rajani, Rajani, Raja, Niraja, Niraja. There is a tendency to chant it as Niraja. But it is Rajani. This is why in that this thing also I've kind of split it so that we have a little clarity on how the word is broken there.
So lot of difference in meaning, right?
Yeah.
Niraja, yeah. One week without.
Correct. So, but that's the tricky part in this verse. But it's repeating so many times. Again, the earlier verse was also slightly like that, right? A little bit. Jhana, jhana, jin, jimi, jhinkrita, nupura. It is still okay. But this is like really very straight confusing. Confusing as in you can end up breaking it differently. So this verse is there is repetition of the same word several times. It's something that is immediately striking, right? The moment we look at this verse, we know why is he repeating this verse so many times? Not the verse, the word, the shabda. First is he's repeating Rajani. Or no, first he's repeating what? Sumana. So he's repeating Sumana, then Rajani, then Brahmara. All these three words is repeating it 4 times in each of the stanzas. So obviously he's not doing it just for fun, right? He's probably the composer. It's Adi Shankara or whoever is the great composer who has done this. To the one to whom this whole thing has been revealed, is obviously when he is doing this, he's probably he's not getting stuck there. It almost sounds like if you give it a short while, it will feel like tape recorders got stuck there. That is, I Sumanas, 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 Sumanas. Beyond 3, it suddenly feels like, "Ayyo, what is happening?" Stuck. So we can manage till 3. 4 becomes a lot, right? Suddenly 4 becomes, when fourth one enters like that, that is where the mind suddenly starts getting confused. Because the fourth one is not in the realm of your experience, not in the realm of your cognitive experience. Like yesterday we were talking about the Pancha Jnanendriyas are the perception, are the organs of cognitive perception. The fourth one is always the Turiya. In Vedanta, the fourth state is referred to as the Turiya state. In Mandukya Upanishad also there's a reference of the fourth state, which is after the waking, dreaming, deep sleep, there is a state called Turiya. Even in you look at Tripura Sundari, Mahatripura Sundari is seated on Sadashiva. That is the Turiya. She is Tripura Sundari, the one who is beautiful in all the states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, deep sleep. But what the consciousness that we are in the journey, or in what we are attempting to do, is to touch and recognize that consciousness which is always there, irrespective of the other states of consciousness. The Turiya state of consciousness is not a state of consciousness, it is a state which underlies all other states of consciousness. Which means it is there when everything is there, and it is there when nothing is there. Which means when nothing as substance, when there is no thing, it is there. The fourth. Chaturtham tam. In Ganapati Atharva Shirsha comes, right? Chaturtham tam Vinayaka Namo Namaha. No, there's another shloka where it appears. Bhasate. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Yad Bhasate. Something, it comes like that. Chaturtham tam Tam Vinayakam Namo Namaha. Something like that. So Vinayaka is referred to as that, the Chaturthi Avastha, the fourth state. And the fourth state is the state of Turiya, which is this consciousness which is underlying all states of consciousness. When waking is there, Turiya is there. When dreaming is there, Turiya is there. When deep sleep is there, Turiya is there. When these three are not there, Turiya is there. It is like saying, when you say Omkara, one second. When we say Omkara, Akara, Ukara, Makara, and then there is a silence. Om, silence, and then Om, and silence. Now, did the silence disappear when we said Akara, Ukara, Makara, or when you said Om? Where is the silence? It is there. When the Akara is pronounced, when the Ukara is pronounced and the Makara is pronounced, the silence is there. And when all the three ends, the pronunciation ends, the silence continues to be there. It is perceived when nothing else is there. The fourth element is perceived when nothing else is there. But how do you get to the fourth? Can you jump to the fourth directly? So you have to go through the three, because you have to know which is why in Upanishad, neti is an important prakriya, a method. Not this, not this, not this. Hence this. Because you can't point that this as this. You're not pointing to an object, you're pointing to the subject. Everything else is objective in the presence of that subject. So what you're doing is you're negating all the objects, and when there is no further negation that can be done, what remains is the subject. That is the turiya. So which is why you cannot go and directly jump into the turiya. You have to negate, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. So I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. You keep saying that. And then whatever remains in form of silence, peace, joy, whatever that remains, that is why it is called Shesha. The term that is used for this is also called as Shesha. Where does Narayana lie on? He lies down on Adi Shesha. What does the symbolism of Narayana lying down on Adi Shesha means? Is that after everything is gone, what remains is he, it. It remains. The remainder, Shesha. So here you're saying Ai Sumanas, 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 Sumanohara. So you're passing through the three, going to the fourth, and then what happens to you? Sumanohara. Manohara means charming. Charming means the mind becomes charming, or your the individual that is there becomes a Manohara. Manohara means the one who steals away your mind is Manohara. Man harati iti Manohara. Yaha man harati saha Manohara. So that is how Manohara is the one who steals away your mind. Su Manohara, such as auspicious. It is an auspicious state. But when do you get to that? After the fourth state, which means when you come to the realization of the Turiya, then you are Sumanohara. So Sumanas, Ai Sumana. So she is referred to as this. Devi is referred to as Ai Jagadamba, or Ai Giri Nandini. So that is how the whole shloka begins, right? Ai Giri Nandini is Ai means a mother, oh, you're addressing her. So Ai Sumana Sumanohara Kanti Yute. So this is where you are looking at the state of your mind. Sumana. The mind is, you want to bring your mind to a state of Sumana at all times. When you are waking, you want to have a Sumana, which means you want your mind to be joyful, calm, peaceful, creative, positive, energetic. In the dream, you want the mind to think good thoughts. You want to have good dreams. In deep sleep, you want the mind to rest well so that you can have good sleep. And when none of this is there, there is a Sumana. There is a Manas, which is beyond these three. And it is not really Manas. It is the source of from where the Manas rises. So the way it is referenced to is you go through the waking state, the Manas of the waking, the Manas of the dreaming, the Manas of the deep sleep, and then you go to the source from where Manas is rising. And what is she? She is present in all of these states. Ai, oh mother, you are there in Sumana. And how do you exist as Sumanohara? Kanti Yute. Kanti Yute means filled with bright light. Luminous. Kanti. Kantimati. Devi's another name is Kantimati. So Kanti Yute, you are filled with bright luminosity. Your mind is completely, which means the mind that you have today, right now, the mind that you have as a tool, as a device to access the world, to do whatever, even to meditate, you need the mind. Whether you're doing some creative work, you need the mind. Whether you're getting angry at somebody, you need the mind. Whether you're judging somebody, you need the mind. When you're wanting to sit down and meditate, also, you need the mind. And you use the mind to go behind the mind, which is the fourth sumana. So you go behind the mind. You use the mind to go behind the mind, from where you observe the mind itself, the operations of the mind, the workings of the mind. And then that is the Sadashiva. Tripura Sundari. From the Tripura, you enter into the Sadashiva, and then what you experience there is Sumanohara Kanti Yute. Swami Nochur beautifully explains this. He says, when you sit for meditation and you try to go deep inside, you do whatever method, any prakriya you choose. You say, who am I? Any vichara you do, some kind of vichara, Vedanta vichara, and you try to go in, you come to a point where the mind reaches a state of you're trying to look at the source from where thought is coming. Who am I? Or where the thought is arising? What is happening? What are these thoughts? You go to a place within you where suddenly there is nothing there. Right? Because you slowly come to that place, because a thought is rising, you say, hey, what, that there is a thought rising. Oh, there is a thought rising. So when you're constantly observing a thought that is rising, the thought stops rising, because that is the nature of thought. When you look at the thought will slowly dissolve. So it dissolves, and you're now at the place where the thought is, as it's rising, it's just dissolving. As it's rising, because you're just looking at the thought, at the place where the thought is rising. And you're there, and you'll wonder what from there. Again, a thought will rise saying that, okay, after this, what? Then you again observe that thought. And it's like, okay, now I'm observing thought, what now? Again, you observe that thought, right? So there's what next keeps coming up. And there will be a point when you'll hit a certain kind of blankness. And when we hit that blankness, Swami Nochur says, persist. Don't let go of this persistence. You're peering through the darkness, just stay there. And he says at one point, you will just hit through that and you'll suddenly feel Kanti Yute. This is experience of light that will come. This is all of our experiences. If you do enough, if you sit for meditation, there'll be a time when you will hit a point of blankness and say, what next? I say nothing, just be there. What next? Just be there. Just look at that question. Some thought is actually rising to tell you that what next. Keep observing that. Keep looking. So, and then when you keep doing this, in Buddhism also, this is called the light of clear void, or the clear light of the void. Buddhist philosophy points to Shunya. Shunya is, because Shunya has different meaning. It means emptiness. But here in meditation, you will hit a point of Shunya. What after that? But if you persist, then even Buddhist philosophies, there are much later philosophers like Nagarjuna, etc., the subsequent philosophers that came after him, they say that you will hit the light of the clear light of the void, which means there is a void, but then there is a clear light there. Experience that light. This is Kanti Yute. So your mind is now, or your mind, this whole apparatus, this device, this apparatus is now filled with that light. And then what? You become Sumanohara. Then we become Sumanohara. We become this pleasant, charming presence. Right? And where is this? Where is the secret of all of this? It's right within. Right? And if I'm going to sit and do all of this process so that I get Sumanohara, that may not work. You understand? I want to glow. I don't want to use these beauty products. I want to glow so that people can get attracted to me. if you're going to sit to get that, possibly it may not happen, because that intention is germinating there, right? The intention, the desire that is germinating there. This happens truly when there is nothing that you're wanting to gain or lose. The process is the thing. See, we can't let go of the process. We can't say, doesn't matter how. There's no cheating here. I can't say I want to appear lustrous and bright, and hence I'm going to go through this Sumana. I'm going to go investigate because I want this lustrous. But that is a desire that will hold you within the three. Right? The light of the clear void, or the clear light of the void, is the fourth Sumana, the Turiya. So you do this. This is Ai Sumanas Sumanohara Kanti Yute. Then Shrita Rajani Krita Rajani Karavaktra Vrite. Rajani is moon. Rajani is another term for moon. Rajani also means the one who is menstruating. So, why is the moon referred to as of course, Chandra is referred to as Chandra Devata, but we refer to as Chandrama. Because Chandra, although in the Puranic literature is shown as a male, the idea, of course, there's no male female there, right? Idea is it menstruates in a 28-day cycle, right? Similar to how, so that is why the female body and the moon has a very close connection. So the menstrual cycle of the female body is 27, 28 days, and so is the cycle of the moon. And which is why Devi is referred to the moon. Very, very few places you would see Devi is referred to as the sun. It's probably not many places where Devi is, or mother is referred to as the sun. She's always referred to as the moon. Because this is the relationship. The moon also has this cycle, and so does the lady. Now, what is this one saying? Shrita. Shrita means to be to surrender. Shrita Rajani Kara Vaktra Vrite. So what is happening here is the moon is surrendering in shame to the brightness of Devi. Vaktra Vrite. Using her kara Vaktra Vrite. So using the kara, the hand, to cover her face in shame in a poetic way. Right? Because Devi is so bright and beautiful, and so in front of the sun, in front of the moon's beauty. Moon is never the difference between the sun's brightness and the moon's brightness. Both are bright in their own way. You can't compare the sun's brightness with the moon's brightness and say that sun is, of course, sun is brighter. Yeah, sun is brighter. But then sun also has heat. It is not just light, it also has heat, tapas. But in Chandrama, you have brightness, but Sheetalta. There is Sheeta. She is cool. So the mind has to always be cool, like the moon. So the way we perceive this is as though Devi is, you experience or you concentrate, you bring Devi to your forehead here. Why forehead? Ashtami Chandra Vibhraja Dalika Sthala Shobhita. So her forehead is like the Ashtami Chandra Vibhraja. Ashtami Chandra. So you bring Devi here in the forehead. Imagine her as a full moon. Similar to Abhirami Pattar. Abhirami Pattar did the same thing, right? He visualized Devi. She appeared as a full moon in his inner eye. So you experience Devi, bring Devi as a full moon into your mind. Rajani, Rajani, Rajani. So you essentially use this Devi, the effect of the moon. You bring that effect into all the states of your consciousness. See, these three lines are kind of indicating the same thing, but they're saying it slightly differently. So in the second line also, it is the same idea. Rajani, you bring Devi as a moon into your waking state. Then Rajani, bring Devi as a moon in your dream state. Rajani, bring Devi as a moon in your deep sleep state. Rajani, the fourth, she is the underlying Rajani or the Turiya in all states. Kara Vaktra Vrite. Kara Vaktra Vrite here says that when you come to that state of beauty within you, then the moon itself or all other beauties pale in comparison with this joy and beauty that you're experiencing. You will not look for joy outside. You will not look for happiness outside. You will not look for intoxication outside. You will not look for satisfaction outside. Even satisfaction, you will not look for it outside. Because you're saying this, in this form, Devi is present in my waking, in my dreaming, in my deep sleep. And she is the one when I'm in different states of consciousness also. She is there. See, waking, dreaming, deep sleep are the three major consciousness, components of consciousness that are indicated in the Shastras or scriptures or wherever. Even you look at even in modern science, there are references. You go to Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud talks about waking, deep sleep, and he talks about unconscious and subconscious and so on and so forth. But there are many different states of consciousness, intermediary states of consciousness also. Those are not detailed out. Like you're saying, there are 7. How many chakras are there in your body? There are 7 chakras. There are many more. 7 are the main chakras. How many nadis are there? You say 3 nadis, Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. No, there are 72,000 nadis. We don't know the names of all of those. So like that, there are 3 main states. Major states of consciousness are 3. But there are other intermediary states of consciousness also where she is the underlying substratum. Right? So that is the 4th Rajani. And then Kara Vaktravate. So which means once you experience this joy of the beauty of the moon as Devi or mother or whatever, you experience that, because in your meditation should always lead to some kind of cooling of your the whole sensory system, the nervous system. There must be cooling of the nervous system. Unless you're doing some kind of sadhana in terms of tapasya, then you burn up. You do pranayama also, it will increase the energy, or pranayama is, of course, pranayama is balancing the cool and the hot. But essentially, you should end up in a state where it is net result is cooling. The net result is cooling. My guru would say, have a warm heart and a cool mind. He wishes good night. Say, may you have uh, a dreamless sleep, a cool mind, and a warm heart. So heart needs to have some warmth. Your heart becomes cold, it's a problem. And your mind becomes warm, problem. So you have a warm heart so that it beats for somebody else also a little bit as it beats for you. And you have a cool mind so that you don't get agitated, aggravated, anxiety, and all of that doesn't rise. It's cool. So Rajani, 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 Kara Vaktra Vrite. So when you recognize this joy, then all other joys pale in comparison. That is the second verse. And what is the third verse? Sunayana Vibramara Brahmara 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 Brahmaradhipate. So this is a very, very interesting verse because it refers to Brahmara, Brahmari. This sound is the sound made by the bee, the bee. And there is a pranayama called Brahmari pranayama. There is a very nice way of experiencing this. Maybe we should try this. Let's do this Brahmari. It is actually it's a very simple exercise, but it's effective. Okay. So the way you do it is you use your 3 fingers. Okay, you can use your thumb. So I'll just tell you how, and then maybe we'll do it for 2 minutes and you see the effect. And those who have done it, you would know what the effect is. But it's always nice to do it because it creates a very nice vibration within your system. So you use the thumb to close the flaps of the ear. Then you use the ring finger to close the nose slightly and keep a finger on the eyelids to close it like that. And you can rest this finger wherever you want. Right? And you make a sound. You make a sound from inside. Just like a bee humming sound. So you can hold it like this. Or you can bring your fingers down. You can use your index finger to cover the eyelids. Then the middle finger, the nose. And keep these 2 fingers above the lips. So let's do this now. And maybe give yourself 30-40 seconds. Do it and then experience the sound. As you do it, experience the sound at the back of your this part, the what you call that as the medulla or the occipital, this part, the back of your head. Let's just do for 30 seconds and come back.
So you notice this kind of puts your mind into, see, after you do that, you want to keep your eyes closed for a little while, right? You want to keep your eyes closed for a little while. You want to be, you want to be. You created the sound of the bee, and what does it offer you? It offers you a state where you want to just be. It's using the English word a little bit here, but like a pun. But this is what the sound of Brahmari does. And it's also very nice when you have some, I was having a headache actually. So now I can feel some kind of release of tension at the back of the head. So this is very nice. This is a pretty nice exercise to relax yourselves, but also it helped Gayatri with this sinus. So it is, and then see, these are always side effects. When you do any kind of sadhana, any kind of these exercises, the side effects are physical and mental well-being. But we're not stopping with that. We are wanting to investigate further. We are wanting to go in further. We are wanting to go deeper. We are wanting to go and touch that space within ourselves where there is this silence, there is this joy, there is this peace, there is this calm. So what the verse is saying is Sunayana vibhramara brahmara 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 brahmaradhipate. So at all the states, you experience the brahmara, which means this sound. See, sound is essentially something that is present everywhere, right? We've seen this, we've studied this, we know that sound is the basis of all forms. So sound is existing, whether we experience it or not, there is this sound. Sound means what? Vibration. In creation, vibration is always there. And what we experience now is sound. Which means we created the sound, but you experience the sound also inside of you, this whole part, right? There is an experience of sound that vibrated in this whole region of the head.
So this sound is the basis of all that you're experiencing as this world, this created world. So when you go back to the sound, when you go back to that sound of existence, sounds like the Brahmari sound or the Omkara sound, these are existential sounds. These sounds exist in nature. If you want to know how actually Om sounds, Om is the way we chant. My Guru Paramahansa Yogananda has said that the actual sound of Om is like the waves of the ocean. So what you hear when you close your ears like this, or you keep a conch shell in your ear, you listen to the waves of the ocean, right? It rises and falls and rises and falls. This is the sound of Omkara. So when we associate ourselves with this sound, then our mind slowly slips into that state of meditativeness. And then there is a possibility of touching the fourth state, which is not deep sleep. Why we are saying the fourth state is beyond deep sleep? Because you're not going into sleep. You're going into a state which seems like sleep, but it's not sleep. Why it seems like sleep? Because the mind is not operating. The body is in a motionless state, but you are in a state of absorption. You're in a state of absorption which is not sleep. Sleep is ignorance. You will not have any recall of what is there. But here you are recognizing your state, not as somebody who's standing up and saying, I can see this state. No, it is a recognition which is very, very subtle and very innate. You recognize even when people go into samadhi, they know that there is a state of samadhi and they were in the state of samadhi, right? So, Sunayana Vibhrama. So, Sunayana, which means, oh, one with beautiful eyes. So, eyes represent form and Brahmara represents sound. So, the one who is manifest as both sound and form, Radhipate, Brahmaradhipate, Brahmara Adhipate. So, you are the Adhipati of all sound, which is the basis of all forms. Sunayana Vibhramara Brahmara 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 Brahmaradhipate. Brahmaradhipate. You are the Lord or Adhipati of all Brahmara. Brahmara here we are saying symbolism of reference to sound. So when you're experiencing the sound within you, recognize that it is Devi, it is her Shakti, it is her Brahmaramba. There is a name for Devi called Brahmaramba. Ambal in the form of Brahmara, Brahmari, in the form of a bee. So we should bring our mind, like we said, from the sound of the bee to the state of bee, to be. This is important. We need to go from there to there. We should not, which is why very importantly, it is always mentioned that the kind of music and the kind of sounds that you hear are very important. If you listen and you keep bombarding yourself with too many agitating sounds, your mind and your consciousness will all be outward bound. If you want to go and touch that source of sound, you have to expose yourself to such sounds, which are very existential in nature. Such sounds give you the access to that source within you. And sound becomes an important channel to access. Okay. So with that, we see in the 11th verse, which is Ai sumanas 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 sumanohara kanti yute Shrita rajani 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 kara vak pravrute Sunayana vibramara bhramara 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 bhramaraadhipate Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini Ramya Kapartini Shaila Sute Om कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि जगदम्बिकायेति समर्पयामि सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि हरि ओम तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः गुरुदेवा हरि ओम।